Okay, so there's one main thing I'm going to cover in this video, and that's the number one way to grow your business, and it's pretty much any local business. So some will benefit a lot more from using it, but a good 70 to 80% of local businesses should, if the goal is to be growing the business a lot faster, is to be using Facebook ads. Because what Facebook ads do, they basically give you control over how fast you grow. So how many leads are coming in, you begin to really control that number. And when you can control that number, and as long as you can convert those leads coming in, it makes it very easy to grow the business. So waiting for leads, always having too few leads, too few potential clients inquiring every month, that obviously leads to the business staying the same or gradually declining. So I'm talking about restaurants. I'm talking about studios. So different types of studios like yoga studios, fitness studios, kids services studios, so gymnastics. I'm talking about chiropractors. I'm talking about pretty much any type. We work with a variety of different types of local businesses. So one, for example, was a referral, and it's a bowling alley. And every single business, with the exception of like a very small percentage, they need to be running ads because it just makes it so much easier to grow the business. So the bowling alley is actually kind of an exception because it gets such a large volume of calls every month from people inquiring about, reservations, so reserving alleys, reserving for parties, reserving for, kids parties, for business parties. They have a lot of different things that they also have a very good restaurant in the building. So their list actually grows very quickly, and we still run ads, but a lot of the new clients that we create for them, a lot of the new reservations and the new income coming in, the new revenue coming in is from list marketing. So because when you do it properly, you're not just having people call and then you're not saving that information, you're growing the list. So you say, hey, you have it built in so it's automated, and it says, hey, we're going to add you to the list so you can learn about different promotions that we offer each month. And then you do text message marketing and email marketing to just grow revenue. So you give offers every single week, you give offers, and it makes it very easy to get people in and reserving for additional things that they would never normally be doing. So, and that applies to pretty much any local business. So, for example, chiropractor, if it's going to be a slow month, you're running Facebook ads, or you're having a couple slow months, you start running Facebook ads, giving a good offer. And that's something that's universal across, running ads for pretty much any local business. You don't just run ads to get people to know about your business. So you're not running ads and you're basically saying, hey, we're a local restaurant here in town. Come have dinner at our restaurant. You need to have a good offer. So, and there's so many different types of offers that work really well. But as long as you have a good offer or two good offers, you just keep running ads to those offers. You get people signing up for them right away. And you also get people added to the list. So you grow the list, which becomes like a secondary, but very powerful secondary marketing method that works with the Facebook and Instagram ads. So they work incredibly, like they're a powerhouse when you use them together. So the number one problem that most local businesses have is right here. So not having enough leads. So when leads are not predictable, it's obviously difficult to grow the business. So you need a predictable way to generate leads every month and a way to market to those people. And Facebook and Instagram ads take care of both of those because they create signups right away, like I said. So it could be consultations. So for example, an electrician, coming in for consultations, pretty much any different type of home service. One of the best offers is an actual consultation where you can give them a quote on what they need fixed or what they need improved, etc. So with restaurants on nights that are typically slow, you give an offer. So if there's, one, for example, chicken wings. So you can do a special on a chicken wing night on a night that it's normally very slow. For bars, it's very similar. On nights that it's very slow, you give an offer. So these are easy ways to get more people walking through the doors or getting you walking through potential clients' doors to create more business. So number one is not having enough leads, and Facebook and Instagram ads really solve that problem because, like I said, you're getting signups with your offer right away. You're creating new business right away, but you're also growing a list because let's say, for example, you get 100 people opting in for a free consultation. Let's jump to a different niche. So let's say, for example, it's a real estate agent, and it's a home visit to appraise the house or give a quote on what you think the house will be worth, for example. So if you get 100 people opting in, not every single one of those people are going to be saying, yes, come on over, let's do it, or get on the phone right away, for example. What will end up happening is a percentage will and a percentage won't. The percentage that don't right away, they're on your list. You market to those people who are on your list, and it keeps growing every single month the longer you run ads, and you develop a pipeline. So people that do not start or do not take you up on the offer that first month that you're running ads, some of those people will take you up on it as long as you market to them the next month. Some of them, it will be 2 months away. Some of them, it'll be 6 months away. And marketing to the list is not difficult. It's more about consistency and doing a couple of the right things, but it's a very easy thing to do. So Facebook and Instagram ads really solve that problem as long as you run good quality ads that have, the most important thing is a really good offer. And the second most important thing, they have to be able to grab the right people's attention. So in a lot of different niches, so a lot of different types of local businesses, there's targeting options built into Facebook where you can target the right type of people. So let's say you want to target people who have, for example, are making a certain amount of money per year. That's one of the targeting options. And the second targeting option is, let's say you want to target people who have kids. So you can do those things so you're weeding out people who are less likely to be a good fit. So again, going back to real estate, let's say you want to target people who are most likely going to have homes or be able to afford to actually buy homes. You want to target the right age ranges. Typically, you might want to target people who are married or engaged. You also want to target people who are above a certain income bracket. And you're able to do all those things with Facebook ads. So you weed out the people who are definitely not a good fit right from the beginning. So for restaurants, for example, you do the same thing. So you want to be targeting the right age ranges, potentially the right gender, depending on what the restaurant is like. If you're looking to attract, anyways, I'm not going to go too deep into that, but there's, if you're a chiropractor, for example, you want to be targeting people who can afford your service. So you're not going to be targeting typically 20-year-olds. So all these things, you use the different features to target the right avatar. And the clearer you are about your ideal client, the easier it is to target those people with Facebook ads. So for example, we have some clients who are literally targeting about a 5-year age range. So because they have a very clear idea of who 70% of their clients are. So we'll be targeting, for example, people who are 40 to 50 years old in some cases, and nothing beyond that. And that really weeds out all the people who are usually not a good fit to work with them and who won't actually become clients. So that's one of the very cool things about Facebook ads. It's Facebook and Instagram. It's obviously the same company, so you have to choose not to show it on Instagram. So the second problem that a lot of local businesses deal with is even if they have leads coming in. So let's say somebody, they put up ads and they actually hit a home run and they start getting a lot of leads. The second problem is not knowing how to convert those leads. And that's a very easy fix. So number one is, and this will vary a little bit from local business to local business, but knowing how to communicate with your leads. So communicating, for example, by text message combined with email is one of the best combinations because text message is very fast. So when you want to get somebody to take action, you need them reading what you're actually sending. If you're only emailing people, your sign up rate will be very slow. So it'll take a long time to convert people, and people will often lose interest if it takes too long. So that's the beauty of text message. Phone calls as well, but not everybody needs phone calls depending on what we're talking about in terms of what the local business is. So text message is very quick, and you can actually train an AI agent to do a lot of the sales process for you. So if it's booking a free consultation, for example, you can have an AI assistant that's trained to take care of most situations that come up with leads, and guide people to actually booking in their consultation. So it'll be trained on the frequently asked questions that almost always come up, and will guide people to actually booking in. It can guide them to booking in on a calendar, or just booking in a time that it knows somebody is available to do the consultation. So you don't actually have to use AI. It is coming to the point now where, you need to jump on board with AI, because, the speed that it's advancing, if you're not using it now, it's not the end of the world, because it's still very effective, but you can automate a lot of the sales process without using AI. So I'm not going to get into that here, but there's another way to do it, where it's automated follow-ups, and it gets people into the conversation. It gets people to, know that they have an appointment, for example, or show up to an appointment. Things like that make it just a lot easier to get leads converted. But 6 months from now, even 4 months from now, at the speed it's advancing, you're going to really be missing out if you're not using AI. So a lot of our clients, we've trained AI agents to do a lot of their sales process for them. And it's a big, it's a game changer for them, because it's simple. It saves them so much time, because they don't actually have to follow up with a huge percentage of their leads. And it gets most of the leads actually, signing up for what they offer. So it's, it's just a super useful way to grow the business, but also save time. You don't have to train somebody and that person quits. You got to train somebody else. It's like you get an AI agent trained, and it's built into your business. So, and it just keeps evolving, because you just keep on feeding it more and more information as you see it perform. So if it does something, that it can do better, you give it more information, it performs better. So it doesn't eat, it doesn't sleep, it's available 24/7. And, in the end, it just obviously saves time, it saves money, and it gets often a better conversion rate than people, because it's instant. Like when somebody opts in for something, let's say somebody, opts in for some type of home consultation, for a home service. The moment they do it, they're very interested. That can change within a couple hours, right? Because people are now more than ever, people are very distracted. So if somebody sees something, like a Facebook ad or an email that's offering, let's say, a consultation for a house painting. So to paint the house, or paint a portion of the house, paint some rooms, and to get a quote. Somebody's interested. They're like, oh, I've had my house for 10 years. I haven't painted my house in 10 years. This actually sounds like something I really want to do. You explain in the email or in the ad, just repainting the house makes it feel like a brand new house. Different things like that get people really thinking about why they should do it. And in that moment, they're interested. But if they then opt in for something, or let's say somebody responds to an email saying, yes, let's do it, but it takes the business a couple days to get back to them, or even, a day to get back to them, sometimes people lose interest. If you have an AI agent taking care of it, it's instant. So they send a message, they opt in for something, immediately they're in a sign-up conversation, getting them booked in for the free consultation to get the quote. So I'm sure you can see why that's so significant. So that combination is extremely effective. So, the number one problem, not having enough leads, the number one solution for that is running Facebook and Instagram ads, good quality ads that have a very good offer, something that people will actually want. And then you're able to actually control the number of leads you have coming in, so you can then much more easily control the growth of your business. Number two is, once you do have the leads coming in, you need a way to be consistently converting those leads. So if you have a person, or you, for example, are very good at that, you don't need any of this. You don't need an AI agent. Maybe you still need some automations, like somebody opts in, immediately they get a text message saying, hey, thanks for showing your interest. Are you interested in this, or this? So maybe you can use automations like that, or maybe you can just do it yourself manually. But if you do have trouble converting leads, which a lot of local business owners do, or a lot of local businesses, if they have, admins doing it, an easy way to solve that problem is to have an AI assistant trained well to know the business and literally just set it loose to go to work for you and get you that end result that you want from those leads coming in. So finally, I'm going to jump to the next thing. So, Facebook ads creating a lot of control over growing the business, getting those leads converted much faster and easier with a trained AI assistant. Number three is, a lot of local businesses already have a lot of organic traffic that they're not taking advantage of. So, and there's very small things that can improve it. So for example, like listings, like a Google My Business listing. So many local businesses have a Google My Business listing that's just not optimized. They have no reviews. They haven't really updated it. Some don't even have a website. Some haven't even claimed their Google My Business listing. And the problem with that is when somebody looks up, for example, whatever you offer, so keywords and your city name, one of the first things that pops up are Google My Business listings. They often pop up before websites. Like 90% of the time, they'll be at the top. And it's very easy for your business to get to the top three listings that always show up, because it's always, there's a top three group. And then for somebody to see further down the options, they have to click an extra button. So you can imagine 80-90% of people, they're calling or clicking the websites for those top three options. It's just human nature. They think it's the best because it shows up at the top. They're not going to be scrolling down to the business down at the 20th rank. So all you have to do is update your Google My Business listing, put a bunch of services in the service section that you offer. So elaborate and use keywords to describe everything that you offer. And then the second thing, obviously put your website, put the information about your business. But the biggest thing is having a lot of reviews. And it's very easy to get 5-star reviews and lots of them by automating the review process. So every time, for example, you go and, provide a service at somebody's home, if that's what you do, as soon as you leave and that person is happy with what happened, you don't do this for people if they created a problem and they were a pain in the butt. But somebody who obviously really, was very happy, which I assume is the majority of the people that you service, immediately afterwards, they should get a text message saying, hey, thank you so much for entrusting your business with us. If you have a moment, can you please go give us a review? You're going to get 5-star reviews like crazy, and they're going to build up very quickly. The more you do that, the higher up you list on the top three. Eventually, you're going to be getting a lot of new business organically for free just from ranking at the top. So that one's huge. And there are many others, like optimizing the website. So many local businesses do not have an optimized website. And yes, it's great to have a very pretty or beautiful or nice or sharp or clean website. But at the end of the day, the website that's optimized to get people to opt in, it's going to create way more business, even if it's kind of ugly, than the most beautiful website that is not optimized to get people to opt in and start a conversation. So two of the simplest things you can do are have clean opt-in forms with an offer. So if they opt in, they get an offer. And it can just be the offer that's working well for you on Facebook ads. So it doesn't have to be like a rocket science offer, just something very simple. Enter your information and they're then on your list. Another one is a chat widget. So a chat widget is incredibly effective for starting conversations. Some people prefer opt-in forms, just opt in. They don't want to start a convo right there on the website. But then there's another percentage that love an immediate solution. So starting a conversation. And that can be linked up also with an AI assistant that's immediately available to have that conversation with them. If it can't answer a question, it just times out and it notifies a person who then has to jump in. Like, it's very simple. But most of the time, if you train it properly, which is not very hard, it can answer all the questions that the person's asking and then guide them to the next step. So booking a consultation, signing up for some type of trial. So it's very simple to do, and a lot of the time it will work a lot better than an actual person because it's so fast and because you just train it to know exactly what you want it to know. So all the things that often come up. So the third is using a list. So list marketing is something that a huge percentage of local businesses aren't using, and it can be potentially even more effective. Maybe not more effective than Facebook ads, because Facebook ads, they get signups right away and they also grow the list. So unless you're getting, your list is growing organically very quickly, then in some cases, if you're good at list marketing, you won't even need, like I mentioned, the bowling alley. The list marketing techniques and offers that we're using for the bowling alley, we don't have to spend much on ads. And technically we could turn ads off, but they're using ads as another way to get clients and grow the list. So they like it. So you got to use your list. Like your list, you can market to your list as much as you want, whenever you want, and offer them whatever you want. So it's not only a great way to sign new people up, it's also a great way to test different types of offers and test different types of things so that you can then use it, for example, in ads, like upsells. So I'll mention one other and then I'm going to shut this thing down. So a huge one is missed call text back. So a large percentage of local businesses do not answer the phone when people answer. So, if somebody's busy, they get voicemail. If nobody's there to pick up, the person gets voicemail. The problem with that is, so that links back into, for example, the Google My Business listing. What happens if somebody sees those top 3 listings? They're going to, usually they're going to call the first or the second business right away. So one of those 2 that grabbed their eye first. And it's not always the first, oddly enough, but it is usually the first or the second. If they call and they don't get to speak to somebody, they're going to move on to the next option. If, however, they get a missed call text back, so you set up a missed call text back where they get voicemail, they can leave a voicemail, most people won't, but immediately they get a text message, and the text message is, hey, hey there, this is, a person's name from business name. I saw that we just missed your call. We're not available to pick up the phone at the moment. What can I help you with? What are your questions? So that first text, like I'm stuttering there because that text will differ depending on what the business is a little bit. But it's basically a missed call text back that starts the conversation with the person. So, and then after they respond, they're much less likely to move on to the next business with their inquiry because the conversation has started. So that's another beautiful way of maximizing the leads that are already coming in and benefiting fully from those leads coming in rather than letting them slip through the cracks. So, and that, for example, goes back to the website. If your website doesn't convert, you're wasting a huge amount of potential clients that are coming and visiting your website. So these are all simple things that aren't very difficult to set up. The most complicated thing are the Facebook ads and obviously setting up the AI, but even those are not very complicated. So they just, they're the most effective, so they obviously take a little bit more work.